I am Dr. Mahammad Rafi, Associate Professor, Department of Cyber Security at Institute of Aeronautical Engineering. Today I want to discuss about problems and solutions on RMON, SNMPv2 and SNMPv3 protocols. Here is generally common problems and solutions related to the RMON, SNMPv2, SNMPv3. RMON means remote monitoring over the network. Remote monitoring, whatever the issues will be arised, monitoring issues or simple network message the protocol version 2 issues, simple network message the protocol version 3 other issues. Here is first we'll discuss about the RMON, that is remote monitoring. With this now, the problems are first configuration is very complex. That means complex configuration. So this is the one issue. Remote monitoring can be very complex to configure, especially in a large networks. Large network means over the network, number of devices. Now we can utilize the more number of devices can be utilized in a larger networks. And next to the problem is high resource usage. High resource usage means or remote monitoring can consume the significant network and device resources. Here, so this is another problem which is affecting this high resource usage, which affecting the performance. That means now which is reducing. So it will be reducing the performance. Limited scalability. So another problem is a limited scalability. Or remote monitoring, which is the capability to monitoring the large and the complex networks. Large now, which is monitoring the large and complex networks. So that can be the very limited. The solution for that one is we have to utilize the automated tools by using the automated network management tools. So these are the tools now which is simplifying the remote monitoring, the configurations and managements. Effectively, it will be the monitor. So and identify the delays and identify the if any other device in the over the network, if any device is the damage, so any router is the damage, so that can be identified and monitor. So the delays can be recovered and overcome the issues. That means resolving the any other issues. Next, the efficient sampling. Efficient sampling. Efficient sampling now, which is optimizes the RMON sampling interval. So and the data the collection. So these data collection, which is to reduce the resource consumptions. That means the hierarchical RMON. Here, this hierarchical RMON implementation, this is the configuration which is improving the scalability and manageability. So these are all the solutions for that. And next SNMPv2, the problems with the SNMPv2. That is a simple network management the protocol version 2. So it is a enhancement the version for the SNMPv1. SNMPv1 protocol. Simple network message the protocol version to other 2. So this is enhancements. Even though if this the protocol is enhanced, some of the problems will be arised. So that problems are first lack of security. Lack of security. So that means the security mechanisms. So with this whatever the security mechanisms now we are providing for this the protocol. Along this the protocol, whatever the data you are transferring along with this the protocol now, which is making it is the vulnerability to attacks. So that is That is one problem with this the protocol. And complex MIB management. That means the database, message information database management is very complex in a SNA along with SNMPv2 the protocol utilization. So this managing and updating the management information base can be very complex and error prone. Now it will be very complex and error prone. The performance issues. Here is the performance issues. SNMPv2, the performance can be impacted by the high traffic. So high traffic and a large number of the monitoring devices. So this is the performance issues. For that now, the solution is a network segmentation. Network segmentation now, use the network segmentation. Network segmentation to limit the exposure of the SNMPv2 and the traffic and reduce the security risk. Here is this MIB database tool. That means these are the tool now which is managing, streamlining the creation and maintenance. So, and the deployment of these are the database. That's why now we are utilizing the MIB tools. So this is by implementation. MIB tool enhancement or implementation is one of the solution. And optimized the polling. The polling should be the interval polling interval should be the optimized. So by optimizing the polling intervals, now we can reduce the frequency of the SNMP requests. So these to minimize this can be minimize the performance of the network. Here, so these are all the problems: lack of security, complex MIB management, the performance issues. Now it can be resolved. Performance issues can be resolved by optimizing the polling, and complex MIB management can be resolved with MIB tools. Network and the segmentation now, any security issues can be resolved over the network. SNMPv3. SNMPv3, so it is a very simple network and the management and the protocol version 3. Generally, in a SNMPv3, the problems are the configuration, the complexity. Main complexity, if you want to configure the SNMPv3, it is a advanced, the enhanced version to SNMPv2. So that's why the configuration complexity is very difficult. The hierarchy, generally the configuration hierarchy will be the difficulty. Now if you take the SNMP, take the SNMP V1 or SNMP or SNMPv2, SNMPv2, SNMPv3, SNMPv3. Here is, these are all the SNMP the protocol versions. The difficulties, the configuration the difficulties can be increased from SNMP to SNMPv3. That's why the configuration, the complexity, here easily you can configure the SNMP protocol. And here SNMPv1, the complexity somewhat is increased. In SNMPv2, the complexity is very difficult than the V1. And in V3, so it is a very difficult the complexity. That means the configuration is a very complicated thing. Why? Because here SNMPv3, which is the security features, can make the configuration. More security features now we have to configure. In SNMP, less SNMP and SNMPv1, so less of the security of the features is here. That's why easily we can configure these other protocols. In SNMPv3, comparing all these the protocols now, which is having the more other configurations. Interoperability issues, internal operation issues. Some devices have compatibility issues with the SNMPv3 due to the differing the implementation. So in the implementation now, some of the issues will be arised. Overhead. So the added the security features in a SNMPv3 can reduce the additional overhead. So it can be reducing the additional overhead and impacting the performance. Here is for all these the problems, configuration, complexity, internal operations and overhead. The solution is for complexity now. The solution for this now, standardized the configurations. We have to utilize the standardized the configurations. By the standardized the configurations now, we can avoid the complexity, configuration the complexity. Here, which having the some guidelines based on the configurations, the guidelines now, the complexity now we can manage the complexity by following the configurations guidelines in a SNMPv3. Vendor the testing. So vendor the testing, what it is doing now, which vendor testing now, which is verifying the SNMPv3 the support and compatibility across the different devices. That means vendors now before deployment, we can do the before the deployment. Performance monitoring. So performance monitoring now, what we'll do, we can monitor the performance of a device. Now we can monitor the performance. Whenever we are using SNMPv1, we'll monitor the performance of the SNMPv1, SNMP version 1 the performance, and the monitoring the SNMPv2 performance and SNMPv3 performance. So each and every the performance levels can be monitored. Whatever the protocol having the more security, now automatically the performance will be the increased. So monitoring and adjust the SNMPv3 the settings to balancing the security and performance effectively. Security and the performance effectively. Here is some real-time problems and solutions related to RMON, SNMPv2 and SNMPv3. So that means remote the monitoring. Problem is network the congestions can be detected. When the network the congestions can be detected, the overhead, whenever the overhead will be arise over the network, now the many the congestions can be detected over the network. So here the problem or remote the monitoring the system which not provide the real-time alerts for sudden network congestions. Here, so this is the main problem. If is there any network the congestions is arise, remote monitoring now which is not providing the alerts. The performance degradations which is not providing. So which is leading to delayed the responses. Now delayed the responses and the potential services interruptions. Here the solution for that one is threshold based alerts. Now we are using the threshold based alerts. So these are the threshold based alerts now, which is the configuring the RMON to generating the alerts. Now we have to configuring the remote monitoring the system to generating the alerts. Whatever the alerts is there, we have to configure and advance the enhance the RMON. That is the remote monitoring system can be enhanced. So towards giving the alerts, specific the thresholds are exceeded. Now which will be exceed the specific the thresholds. For example, now threshold for the traffic volume and error rates. Traffic volume and error rates. Here is the integration with the real-time monitoring tools. So this is the whatever the tools we are utilizing over the network. By integrating all the tools now effectively we can monitor. And combining the RMON with the real-time network monitoring tools, it will be enhance the visibility. Now this is the monitoring the system now, the visibility can be enhanced and responsiveness Tools like solar, wind and PRTZ can be the complement RMON by providing the instant alert and so detailed analysis. Regular data reviews. Regular data reviews. The data review should be the regularly monitoring the reviews. Data, the issues or data reviews now by regular monitoring. So these are the issues can be overcome. Implementing the regular reviews of the RMON data to identify the trends and the potential the issues before they become the very critical. So SNMPv2. The problem is security vulnerabilities. SNMPv2 having the lack of the encryption, lack of strong authentication, which can expose network management data to unauthorized the access and the tampering. For that one, the solution is a network segmentation. Now we are doing the network segmentation. So this network segmentation, what it is do, restrict the SNMPv2 traffic now to trust the networks using the VLAN here and accessing the control list to limiting the exposures. Use the VPN, so which employs the virtual private networks to secure the SNMPv2 traffic and protect it from the interception. Next, regular updates. Now, SNMPv2 agents and manage the updates to patch the known vulnerabilities and improving the security with regular monitoring or regular updates. SNMPv3. SNMPv3 here, now configuration complexity and deployment issues will be arise. SNMPv3 is an advanced security features. Now, even though we are providing the advanced security features in SNMPv3, such as the encryption and authentication, so can very complicated the configuration is required for that one, which leads to the some other deployment issues will be arised with these very high security other features. For that one now, the configuration guidelines, best of the practices configuration guidelines now we have to provide that one. So the detail of the configuration guidelines now by providing the detailed configuration the guidelines and best of the practices for SNMPv3, which ensures the proper setups. Many vendors now which they provide the some guidelines that will be configured the SNMPv3 very securely. And here testing in a staging environment. Testing also it's one of the other solution. Test the SNMPv3 the configurations in a staging the environment before deploying the in a producing to identifying and resolving the issues. Training and documentation is another other solution. Here providing the training for the network administrator on a SNMPv3. So by providing the training to network administrator on a SNMPv3 and the best the practices now, maintaining the that is a thorough documentation for configurations and troubleshooting. Here is implementation issues and solutions RMON, the compatibility. So older other devices may not fully supported the remote monitoring. So this is the issue which leading the inconsistency of the monitoring. Here is the solution for that one is ensuring all network devices and monitoring the systems are very compatible with the RMON standards. So considering the RMON, the complement network management as a system for that one. So from the vendors now the industry the standards to from adhere to industry the standards by improving this the standardizations are replacing the ports now physical ports are updating the softwares now. The older the devices that whatever the inconsistency is there in a monitoring, so that can be resolved by updating the systems regularly. Scalability. Large networks now can generate the vast amount of the monitoring data. So it is a scalable issue, challenging to managing and analyzing these large amount of the data over the network. For that now, implementing the hierarchical ROM, remote monitoring configuration. By implementing the hierarchical or MON the configuration. So these scalability issues can be overcome. That means now where aggregate and summarized at various levels. At various levels now to reducing the volume of data, so which is handled by the central management system. Resource the consumption. So resource consumption means now RMON, that is a remote monitoring the system, can place the additional load on a network devices and manage the stations due to the data collection and processing overhead. Here it is the problem. So these are the issues. So generally here it will be arised in a resource the consumption. For that one now the solution is optimizing the remote the monitoring configuration. Remote monitoring configuration by selecting only necessary monitoring the metrics and using the efficient data collection intervals, which ensures the network devices having the some sufficient resources for handling the remote monitoring operations over the network. Complex configuration problem. Generally, remote monitoring which involves the setting up various the parameters and metrics. So which can be very complex. The solution for that one, use the automated tools and management system that simplifies the configuration process. Configuration the process now, which is the provide the clear documentation and training for the administrator. Here is SNMP simple network message protocol version 2. Now the backward the compatibility is one issue. Transition from the SNMPv1 to SNMPv2 can cause the compatibility issues. For that one now, phased approach. Now we are following the SNMPv2 phased approach, maintaining SNMPv1 and supporting during the transition. So this is a solution. All the devices and management systems are updated that will be supported to SNMPv2 network. Complexity issues. So new operations, structures, increasing the complexity. For that one is now we have to provide the, if is there any new operation or in a network, so the complexity will be increased. For that one now, for new operations now we have to providing the training for network administrator. Providing the training for network administrator on SNMPv2 and the features and operations. By using the management the tools, so that support the SNMPv2 and automating the configuration where it is possible over the network. Security improvement generally which improve the performance but still lacked robust the security in SNMPv2. So this is an issue. For that now additional security measures now implement the additional security measures such as VPNs or security channels and SNMP the communications. That means consider on upgrading the SNMPv3 for enhancing the security the mechanisms. Here the textbooks for this one. These are all the textbook of SNMP, SNMPv2, V3 and all MON 1 and 2 by the William Staley. So this is the textbook Network Management Principle and Practices by Mani Subramaniam. So these two are the textbooks for this topic. Thank you.
Like, share and subscribe. Hit the bell icon for more updates.